Okay, schauen wir nochmal. Eine Peaches LP. Und war die online? Tür.
Mr. LeFay, I'd like to ask you some questions.
Fine, but keep it brief.
Bis dann, Plexi. Immer diese Stalker. Bis bald, Sis. Hey, Preze. Nein, war nicht online. Ach so. Schade.
Tell me what you know about Malcolm Harris.
Ah, Mr. Harris. Took out a loan about a month ago. Still hasn't paid me back. In fact, he sent along a letter yesterday saying he was having an emergency and needed more time. I probably should have refused to do business with him. As soon as he walked through the door, I could tell his type.
What type is that?
Upper class, bored with his life, trying to escape and doing it through vice. In his case, gambling.
This guy is good. Maybe you can pursue money lending if the whole private investigator thing doesn't work out.
But for some reason, I pitied him and decided to give him the loan anyway. Compassion isn't exactly an asset in this business, you see.
Nothing to worry about in your case, then.
Aside from that, I don't know anything about him. I prefer to keep how much I know about my clients to a minimum. Makes things easier for me.
So, dann wollen wir natürlich was über die Entführung wissen. Eine Breze. Heute ist aber heute nicht so salzig, aber bitte mit Butter. Salz kannst du mal runter machen.
Are you aware that Malcolm's son Charles was kidnapped last night?
I had no idea he even had a son. As I said, I don't ask my clients too many personal questions. Though now you've told me, I suppose that would explain the emergency he mentioned in his letter. Poor guy.
Exactly how much did Mr. Harris borrow from you?
Is that relevant to your investigation?
It would help to have an idea of exactly how much he owes you, yes.
I don't feel comfortable telling you the exact amount, but I will say it was over 500 crowns.
A considerable sum.
Like I said, I probably shouldn't have done it, but I'll get the money back one way or another.
Eintrag im Notizbuch. Schuldeneintreibung.
What's your policy regarding people who don't pay their loans back?
There are a few options. For the first 3 months or so, I'll send them a letter reminding them. After that, I start to threaten them with legal action. You wouldn't believe some of the things people do to avoid paying back their loans. One client went so far as to fake his own death.
Do you ever employ any more unusual methods?
Now wait just a minute. I see where this is going. Mr. Fordham, I'm a family man myself. If you're implying that I would stoop to kidnapping someone's child as collateral...
I never said that, Mr. LeFay.
Look, I have a family to consider. I'm not about to go getting my hands dirty when there's plenty of legitimate ways to handle the situation.
Wie schaut unsere Terrorbrezel wohl aus, wenn ich das Salz runterrubble? Grantig. Genau. Zerrissener Stoff.
Take a look at this piece of fabric. Does it look familiar to you?
Sure, it looks like it came from a jacket. In fact, yes, it's the same fabric as the jacket I'm wearing.
Aha, seine Jacke.
Would you mind if I took a look at your jacket?
Sure, not a problem. Here.
Kann ich die drehen? Nö, kann ich nicht. Das ist ja doof. Kann ich die nicht drehen? Ich weiß doch nicht, wie die von hinten ausschaut.
No tears in mine, huh?
Not a one. You clearly take good care of your clothing.
I don't mean to discourage you, Mr. Fordham, but I've seen a lot of people with this style of jacket. Hell, even Malcolm has one. I remember he was wearing it when he came in here.
I see. Thank you for the information, Mr. LeFay.
Hinweis gefunden. Wir sind noch nicht fertig mit
I've
ihm.
got some more questions, Mr. LeFay.
Go ahead, then.
Schieß mal los, über ihn selbst.
Tell me a bit about yourself and your business, Mr. LeFay.
What's to tell? I lend people money, they pay me back.
Surely it's not that simple.
Well, of course I charge interest, otherwise I'd never make a profit. I know people don't look upon the service I provide very favorably, but without my help, there would be a lot more unhappiness in the world.
How did you go about starting up this business?
I didn't. My former employer, Mr. Roth, left it to me when he passed.
That was rather good of him.
Yes, well, he didn't have any heirs, and he considered me to be the son he never had. He was fond of my family, too. I try and keep my work and home life as far away from each other as I can, though. There's a lot of things in this line of work that my wife and daughter are better off not knowing about.
I think that's all for now.
Okay, wir schauen hier und setze noch mal ein bisschen kurz Diplom.
He actually has a degree in business from the University of New Bretagne? What a waste. LaFay with a woman and a small girl. I wouldn't have taken him for a family man.
Echt, ich finde, das kommt schon wie ein Familienmann-Mensch rüber,
Crew
ehrlich gesagt.
escaping a shipwreck on a violent sea. Not the most comforting painting to look at while waiting for a loan. I shudder to think how many people's financial freedoms are locked away in that cabinet.
Ja, stimmt. Da hast du recht. Einige. Falls er voll ist.
That's the latest model Computron. They don't come cheap. LaFay must be doing pretty well for himself. Do you suppose LaFay turns the heat up to put some pressure on his clients?
Ich glaube ehrlich gesagt nicht.
Must be soothing for LaFay to be able to look at this landscape while he sits at his desk.
Können wir noch mit ihm
I
reden?
don't think he's gonna be of much help right now.
Okay, ja dann gehen wir wieder raus. Aber der Teppich ist kaputt. Baugelände.
Well, someone certainly wasn't shy about making their opinion known. Rich people really do like making others aware of what's theirs, don't they?
Ach krass.
Now that is an impressive piece of machinery.
Too many have died to allow this to continue. Steam tech must be stopped.
Do you suppose that's for keeping protesters out or the yard workers in?
Ja, ich glaube eher
The
jemand
time
draußen
has
zu
come
halten.
to reject steam machines. They take our jobs, they take our families, they take our lives. We won't stand for this injustice any longer.
I suddenly remembered a joke. What's the difference between the HMS Lenore and Chief Snelling? One is a greatly disliked and untrustworthy sack of hot air, and the other is the HMS Lenore.
So, die anderen
Don't
können
these
wir noch
people have
anschauen.
jobs they need to go to?
Clyde Harris has no concern for the people who died aboard the Ligeia or their families. The only thing that matters to him is lining his pockets with the misery of others. To this we say no!
Don't these people have jobs they need to go to? Don't these people have jobs they need to go to?
Okay, alles dasselbe.
Elect
Plakat.
Hart Leroy, the man of the people. I think that's preaching to the choir around here. But the way this gate is set up, I think trespassers should get an award for being able to breach the fortress.
Lads,
Ja,
we will
dann.
not just stand by and watch another bringer of fire.
Pardon me, are you Arthur Devons by any chance?
Yes, who are you?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. Could I ask you a few questions?
Guess so, yeah.
Okay, Drohbrief.
You recognize this letter, Mr. Devons?
How'd you get that? That wasn't meant for you.
I found it at the home of Mr. Malcolm Harris. He tells me you've been sending quite a few of these to his father.
Me and everyone else what had someone killed by that devil machine. I'm not the only one, you know.
Perhaps not, but he told me you were the most persistent.
Family.
What have you got against the Harris family?
The family? Don't know nothing about the family. The only one I got a problem with is Clyde Harris, the one who owns this yard. He's just like all those other rich bastards with their heads in the clouds. The man don't care about the dead. He just wants to make as much money as he can. I'm just trying to make him realize how wrong he is.
Entführung.
Do you know anything about the kidnapping of Charles Harris?
Charles Harris? Who's that?
Clyde Harris's grandson.
I didn't even know he had a grandson. I can't believe someone with a grandkid, a family, would want more flying death in the air. How many more people have to die before someone realizes that steam machines are evil? People will kill their own mams for a crown these days.
Knochen und Staub.
Mr. Harris told me you send a bag of chicken bones and dust along with your letters. Why is that?
Chicken bones? Dust? Nah, that's not right. I've only sent letters.
Are you certain of that?
Yes, as sure as I'm standing here.
Right. And I'm the queen. I get the feeling this guy will crack if we figure out what the significance of his little gift is.
Why are you out here protesting?
Because what Harris Construction is doing ain't right. I lost my wife in the Ligeia crash, and I'm not the only one, neither. Hundreds of people were affected by that disaster, and now these bastards are making another airship. It's like a slap in the face to everyone who died. I just can't understand it.
What do you hope to accomplish by protesting?
Simple. We want construction of the Lenore stopped, and a full investigation into the Ligeia disaster. Not only that, we want compensation for our losses. Royal Maverick took care of all the families of those on board, but the families of the ones in the park didn't get a single copper. It just isn't fair. We aim to make things right. After that, it'll just be a matter of time before people realize that there's no future in steam tech, and they'll call the whole thing off.
Ah, the innocence of the downtrodden. I wish I could be as naive as them. It would have made my life a lot easier.
So, dann die Ehefrau.
You must have loved your wife very much.
Are you joking? I loved her more than there are stars in the sky.
Oh,
She was my whole world, Mr. Fordham, the light of my life. It's been nothing but cold and dark since she was killed. You're married, aren't you, Mr. Fordham? I see a ring on your finger.
I am, yes.
Then take my advice. Appreciate every moment you have with her. You never know when she'll be ripped out of your life, leaving you with nothing.
You know, this fellow was actually pretty wise. Maybe we misjudged him.
das ist übrigens wirklich ein sehr, sehr guter Tipp. Und das würde ich nicht nur eigene Frau oder eigenen Mann, sondern man muss mit jedem Menschen, den man gern hat, wirklich jeden Tag, jede Stunde, jede gemeinsame Minute genießen. Das kann so schnell vorbei sein. Da hat er recht, ja.
Does this piece of fabric look familiar to you?
Looks like it came from some fancy jacket, the type you'd expect to see on the snobs in Leon. I could never afford clothes like that in a million years.
Der Knopf.
Do you recognize this button?
Can't say I do, but it looks handmade. I wonder how long it will be before the poor soul who crafted that button gets booted into the street and replaced with some steam-belching contraption.
Über ihn selbst?
You seem very dedicated to your cause.
I'll take that as a compliment, Mr. Fordham.
There's quite a lot of people who are against steam tech, aren't there?
Yes, the movement is gaining ground and growing rapidly, I'm pleased to say.
I've heard stories about some more extreme members. Do you know anything about that?
You mean the Redites? Sure, I've heard of them. Even met a few. But if you think I'm telling you anything else beyond that, you're sorely mistaken.
Are you a member of the Redites, Mr. Devons?
No, I prefer more peaceful methods of making my voice heard. Now, if you don't mind, I think we should drop the subject.
Good day to you, Mr. Devons.
You too, Mr. Fordham.
Okay. Oh ja, so war. Das stimmt, aber leider
HMS Lenore
ist es,
will not
ich will das nicht sagen, wenigen bewusst, aber ich glaube ehrlich gesagt, dass es sehr, sehr
And so
viele
we say
vergessen.
to Harris and his cronies, no, we will not stand for this.
Und das finde ich auch sehr, sehr schade. So, Quartier.
Come in.
Ein Feind. Ah.
Good day to you, ma'am. I'm Miles Fordham, a private investigator. I'm looking into the kidnapping of Charles Harris. Are you Mrs. Davis?
I am. Oh, bless the spirits. They've sent someone to help at last. I'm so glad someone is on the case, especially now that someone has made demand.
Was?
Demands?
Yes, the Harrises just got the note about a half an hour ago. Didn't you know?
I didn't. But thank you for the information.
What? Also vor einer halben Stunde. Ja, da waren wir halt schon unterwegs, gell?
Another Harris hand-me-down, no doubt. You'd think they would have washed it first. Seems like that boiler's the only thing in here that's less than 10 years old. My mother had a pewter teapot as well. Always made the tea taste funny. That chest is full of undressed dolls? What the hell is wrong with this old bat? It's a spirit reaching out to a very frightened man. Possibly the fakest looking photo I've ever seen.
So, Fotografie.
This looks like a mourning portrait of a young woman. Probably a relative of Mrs. Davis. painting of a tower on a Scottish moor. I wish I'd been able to make it over there. Painting of a misty forest with a cemetery in the background. Cheery stuff. Her Majesty Queen Jessica. This was clearly painted a long time ago. Pretty distinguished looking gentleman. Handsome. Good fashion sense. Wonder who he is.
Servus, Falkenauge. Grüß dich.
These are all books on spiritualism and the occult. Mrs. Davis doesn't seem to have many other hobbies. A boy taking a nap under a tree while his dog runs around in the distance. That brings back some good memories.
Oh.
The Harris family doesn't seem to hold the comfort of their servants in very high regard. I think a bed of nails would be an improvement.
Okay, krass. Das schaut eigentlich gar nicht so, also schaut eigentlich gar nicht so schlecht aus, oder?